Get ready to hear the truth about America. A news show that isn't allergic to the facts. The Bold Conservative. Now, here is your host, James Ledbetter.
Hello to all my bold conservatives out there. What a wonderful Monday morning news pack. A lot to unpack today. First, we're going to talk about how Ken Starr has actually admitted that Mueller testifying before Congress is a gold mine for the Republicans. Then we're going to discuss how Bernie Sanders pushes $15 an hour pay raise, minimum wage, but can't afford to pay $15 an hour to his own employees. Did Bernie Sanders just figure out that there's a thing called economics? This is the Bold Conservative Show. Good morning. News pack day. So Ken Starr, as you know, Robert Mueller will be testifying before Congress tomorrow, Wednesday. And a lot of people are excited to finally get down to the bottom of what Robert Mueller was trying to say in his report. As you may recall, Robert Mueller said in a press conference right after he come out with his report that he has nothing else to say other than what he said in his report. So you have Democrats thinking that they are going to get the bombshell of the century, that they're finally going to get what they have been wanting all this time. They think that they're going to get what they need to impeach President Trump. Now, this is the reality of things. Not only are Democrats going to be able to question Robert Mueller, but so are the Republicans. And that's what Ken Starr was saying over the weekend. House Republicans on the Judiciary and Intelligence committees will have a unique opportunity to question former special counsel Robert Mueller after Democrats pressed to have him come and testify, according to former independent counsel Ken Starr. Ken Starr was the independent counsel investigating Bill Clinton and his little sexcapades in the Oval Office. However, as you know, GOP lawmakers should delve into several topics about which their questions have gone largely unanswered, Starr claimed Friday to Sean Hannity. This is going to be a great opportunity, said Starr. The independent counsel for the Clinton-era Whitewater probe. The Republicans are going to be on the spot. They are being given a golden opportunity to get some questions answered that we all have. And Dan Bongino earlier was interviewed on Fox, and this is what he had to say about it.
Well, it's going to be a big week on Capitol Hill on Wednesday. Robert Mueller is going to be testifying. Democrats are salivating, but then at the same time, Republicans are thinking, hey, this is finally our chance to ask him, hey, when did you realize that the lovebirds, your FBI lovebirds on the team, hated Donald Trump so much?
Steve, this is a golden opportunity, this hearing. I mean, I don't know why some Republicans have spoken out against it. For Republicans to finally get to the bottom of what Bob Mueller was doing. You just hit on one of the high points here, which is in July of 2017, right? Mueller's appointed in May of 2017, so we'll keep the timeline on track. So just a few months after Mueller's appointed, the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, approaches him with this bevy of text messages from these two FBI officials, Lisa Page and Stroke, who are having an affair, and these messages are devastating. They don't like Trump. They don't like his supporters. They're talking about Oconus laws and other things. So it's clear to me by just a few months into his investigation, by July of 2017, that Mueller knows something's up. What is he doing for the following 675 days? And why do they stealth fire Peter Strzok? Why not make an announcement and say you had an issue? Well, the answer is because he wanted to hide it and keep this thing going to obstruct the Trump administration. So,
as you can see, every Republican should be stoked about this. This is finally going to be what we need to laugh at all of the Democrats for 2.5 years have said that Donald Trump did this, Donald Trump did that. Then, when the Mueller report came out, they were all like they had all been kicked in the stomach. They had nothing. They didn't know what to say, so they kept on with this conspiracy theory. They kept on claiming, well, Robert Mueller said this, but he really meant this. See, the MSM have a hard time admitting when they're wrong. And they've been wrong for 2.5 years. They've claimed that Donald Trump has said this, Donald Trump has done this, and absolutely, positively, we need to impeach this president, even though a lot of people voted for him because he is who he is and he has promised what he's promised. And all promises made, all promises kept. He's even started on the wall. So here's the thing. Democrats are never going to stop. They're trying to find just any little thing to impeach this president, and they're not going to find anything. See, an impeachment has to be a bipartisan thing. In other words, you have to have the majority of Congress vote to impeach Trump. You have to have the majority of the Senate vote to impeach Trump. And not only that, the Vice President of the United States has to vote to impeach Trump. So you have all of these little trendies all over Twitter claiming, oh, well, we got him now. We got him now. Trump did this, Trump did that. So then when you ask them, well, show us this evidence that you have, they say, oh, it's coming. When is it coming? When is this bombshell evidence coming? That's what I want to know, because it hasn't come yet. And Robert Mueller didn't find anything. Southern New York, the DA's office out there, they didn't find anything. As a matter of fact, they ended their investigation over the weekend as well. So answer me this. What do they plan to find that is different than what we already know when Robert Mueller testifies? This is going to be a great opportunity. Just like Bongino said, just like Ken Starr said, for the Republicans to get down to the bottom of what's been happening. What was Mueller going for? Why did he continue with the investigation after his first 30 days? He knew that there was no there. He knew that there was no collusion. So there's no crime. There was no crime committed. So then this is what I think the Democrats are going to go for. They're going to try to go for the obstruction thing. They want to claim that because Trump fired James Comey, that he obstructed justice. Well, in order to obstruct justice, you have to stop the investigation altogether. Everybody wanted the investigation ended. Everybody. They wanted, even the Democrats, whether they admit it or not, they wanted the investigation to come to a halt because they wanted to know what Mueller knew. And Mueller knew nothing. And despite all of the Democrat Trump haters that Mueller put on his team, they still failed to find anything whatsoever. So now, here we are, talking about this yet again. And we have the upper hand. And I'm surprised that any Republican at all was even against this to begin with. Folks, this is what we've been waiting for. We need to know the answers to many, many questions that have not been answered. I want to know why Robert Mueller found it fitting in his press conference right after he released his report, why he decided to word his press conference the way he did. He said, if we thought that the president was innocent, we would have said so. Okay. He could have just as easily said, if we thought the president did not commit, or he could have said it anyway. And I'm at a loss for words for this, because this is what I want to know. Why couldn't he have just said, my report says everything I need to say, and then end it there? But no, he specifically said, if we thought that the president was innocent, we would have said so. So what did that do? That basically got the MSM all worked up again, thinking, hey, well, Robert Mueller said that, hey, if he was innocent, they would have said so. Okay, he could have just as easily said, if Donald Trump did anything or obstructed any kind of thing, we would have said so. They didn't say so. And that's the whole surprising part about this, is the Democrats, they keep taking everything that Robert Mueller says as another nail in the coffin. We have him now. And it's crazy. It's madness. They refuse to stop because they hate this president and they hate what this president stands for. They can't stand the fact that the president is putting America first for a change. He's putting you first. He's putting me first. He's putting every American citizen above everything else. And that's what we needed, because over the years we've had presidents that have put other countries first. Obama, he kept putting Iran first. Gave them bundles and bundles and pallets of money. Started this crazy Iran nuclear deal, which Trump had to put an end to because it was nonsense. And the Democrats keep propping up former President Obama up like he was the savior of the country. Think about this for a minute. Joe Biden, he's running for president, but he hasn't been endorsed by Barack Obama. That's odd all by itself. So you need to be asking yourself, as this is going on, when are they going to ask the real questions? Why did Robert Mueller keep going? After his first 30 days, he knew that there was nothing to go after. There was nothing to report. There was no collusion. And firing James Comey was not obstruction of justice. President Trump was well within his right to fire James Comey. As a matter of fact, if you remember correctly, the Democrats wanted James Comey fired after he came out and pointed out all of Hillary Clinton's crimes. They wanted him fired then. So what's the difference in Obama firing James Comey, which he could have did but he didn't, or Donald Trump firing James Comey? There's no difference. And the Republicans, oh man, you're going to have Jim Jordan, you're going to have Matt Gaetz. This is going to be great. And we're finally going to get down to the bottom of this. But honestly, on Friday, planning for former special counsel Robert Mueller's highly anticipated testimony was thrown into disarray as multiple sources said the hearing was delayed amid a breakdown in negotiations. Yet others indicated it could still go forward next week as planned. What is there to negotiate? Robert Mueller, we paid Robert Mueller that millions and millions of dollars to tell us what we already knew. So now they have to negotiate with Robert Mueller in order for him to testify? I didn't hear him trying to negotiate for getting Bill Barr in there. They immediately went to press charges on Bill Barr when he refused to testify. They didn't waste any time. But yet here they are. Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff and Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler announced that Mueller's appearance before both committees had been pushed back 1 week to July 24th. Mueller is scheduled to testify before the Judiciary Committee for 3 hours beginning at 8:30 a.m. before appearing before the Intelligence Committee that afternoon. So, according to the Democrats, this is going to happen. It's going to happen. And it's going to be great. So, I suggest that each and every one of my bold conservatives out there listen to every word that comes out of Robert Mueller's mouth, because you're going to find out that the whole thing was a scam, and Robert Mueller knew it, but he still kept pushing it forward because he wanted this controversy to go on and on and on and on and on. And so did the Democrats, because they were making money off of these crazy headlines that they were pushing, these conspiracy theories. That's crazy. But next, we're going to talk about how Bernie Sanders has been pushing a $15 an hour minimum wage raise. That means everybody working will make $15 per hour. Now, all of the employees that are working are going to make more money than the companies can afford to pay them. And now Bernie Sanders is well aware of that. As you know, Democratic president candidate Bernie Sanders announced this weekend he will cut staffers' hours so that they can effectively be paid at $15 an hour minimum wage, prompting mockery from critics on the right and the left who say that The move is more evidence that Sanders' plan to raise the national minimum wage is hypocritical and would only lead to less work and more unemployment. Of course, you know that's what the Democrats want. They want the American people to rely on government. They want the American people to say, hey, we can't afford to feed ourselves. And Bernie Sanders said himself that that long lines of hungry people standing in line at soup kitchens is a wonderful thing. No, it's not. These people should be able to feed themselves. They should be able to afford to feed their families. They shouldn't have to stand in a line while the government decides who to feed and who not to feed. But anyway, the Washington Post first reported last Thursday that Sanders field staffers were upset that Sanders championed a $15 minimum wage on the campaign trail and made headlines for railing against major corporations who pay starvation wages, is his quote, even as his own employees made poverty wages, according to Mr. Sanders himself. So what happened? Did Bernie Sanders finally discover economics? Ben Shapiro did a show yesterday, and this is what he had to say about it.
Bernie Sanders had to respond to complaints from his staff that he was not paying his staff $15 an hour minimum wage. Now, Sanders has been pushing for a federally mandated $15 minimum wage, and he wasn't paying his own staffers that. So here is what Bernie Sanders did. This is magical. It really is fantastic. Amid a pay war, this is according to Newsweek, within his own 2020 presidential campaign, Bernie Sanders will limit the amount of time his organizers can work to guarantee that no one is making less than $15 per hour, a wage the senator has demanded should be the federal minimum. Wait. Did Bernie Sanders just discover economics? Did Bernie Sanders just discover that, the money doesn't grow on trees? And that if you pay people $15 an hour, they have to work fewer hours to have the same wage base that you're paying right now? Did Bernie Sanders just discover reality? It's going to be very scary for him. He wakes up in the morning, he opens the window, and there's reality. He's like, oh, what is this? I can't just pay people $1 billion an hour? I'm at my own campaign? I will limit their working... You mean I will have them lose working hours?
So the hypocritical Bernie Sanders, the self-described socialist, keep that in mind. The self-described socialist candidate said junior field organizers earn roughly $36,000 per year in salary, with employer-paid health care and sick leave. But he acknowledged that their salary can effectively dip below $15 per hour if staffers work much more than 40 hours per week, which is common on presidential campaigns. So Bernie Sanders realized that he couldn't afford to pay all of his staffers $15 per hour and work them 60-hour work weeks, as he usually does. So Bernie Sanders has, instead of paying them $15 per hour, well, he's still going to pay them $15 per hour, but he's going to cut all of their hours. So they're going to make less than what they were making before. And he's earned the criticism, fought back a sneeze. So Brianna Fenesteel said this on Twitter. Bernie Sanders says his campaign will limit the hours staffers work so they are paid the equivalent of $15 per hour. I'm very proud to be the first president candidate to recognize a union and negotiate a union contract, he told me. So, Bernie Sanders, is being criticized by socialists. He's being criticized by moderate Democrats, and he's being criticized by the Republicans. So what is this whole thing about? It's about Democrats doing what they do best. They're hypocritical. They say one thing, but they do another. And Bernie Sanders never intended on paying his employees $15 an hour. He can't afford to. He would lose so much money if he had to pay every employee $15 an hour and work them the 60 hours he usually works his employees every week. So it's like Bernie Sanders just discovered economics. That's how it's always been. And what else will this $15 an hour do? Okay, this $15 an hour is going to make all the big corporations like McDonald's and stores and all that go automated, because they can't afford to pay every employee $15 an hour either. So it'll be interesting to see how Bernie Sanders tries to push this, if he continues to push the $15 an hour minimum wage. And if he does, then he's only proving to be more and more of a hypocrite each and every day. And that's funny. That's funny to me. But what's not funny to me is all the unemployment that this $15 an hour pay hike will bring. All the unemployment. See, this is what the Democrats are doing. Think about this long and hard. President Trump campaigns on the low unemployment that has the statistics say since he's been president. Record low unemployment, record low black unemployment, and Latino unemployment. And women are working more now than ever before. They know this. So now they're going to try to wreck that and cause the unemployment rates to go sky high. And that's what's going to happen. You're probably going to end up losing your job over this. Corporations are only going to be able to afford to pay very few people. And these few people are going to have to work harder. And they're not going to like that very much. And the automation. You already have McDonald's talking about replacing employees with kiosks. You've already got that. So this is going to end up pushing them into automation faster than anything else. A lot of people are going to lose their jobs. And the Democrats could care less. That's why they're pushing this. It's not for you. It's not for me. It's not for anybody. It's to make President Trump look bad in the polls on 2020. But it's not going to work because average Americans know that it wouldn't be President Trump's fault because he's opposed to all of this nonsense. See, President Trump has been a businessman for years, for decades. He has started a company, and it's rose and rose and rose to the point to where it is a very successful business. He knows what most businesses can afford and can't afford to do. And that's what I've been saying all these years. We need a businessman as president to fix this economy. And it's almost impossible for him to do when you have the Democrats working against him just for the specific purpose to try to make him look bad. That's all this is. They don't care about the middle class. They don't care about the underclass. All they care about is making Trump look bad. And that's what they're all campaigning on. Let's make Trump look bad. Let's ruin Trump's record economy. Let's ruin Trump's record unemployment numbers. Let's do this. We have to do this. And I know that you heard in the beginning, before everybody started running for president, that Trump would win by a landslide by his numbers alone. By his numbers alone. His unemployment numbers, record lows. And they know this. And they started campaigning on this. And it's really odd that you still have these presidential candidates running on the same things, even though they see that these things aren't going to work. So that should tell you something. That should tell you everything you need to know about this whole situation. What are the Democrats' motivation? What are the Republican strengths? And you'll know that they're all about themselves. They could care less about the people. And that's why President Trump got elected, because he cares about the people. He is all for America first. So he started pushing that. And the Democrats so many times have tried to make it seem like America first is some sort of a racist statement. Every other country on the planet puts their country first above any other country. It's what countries do. It's what makes countries great. And America was in a downward spiral because all these presidents kept putting all these other countries first, helping all these other countries to prosper, while America was falling deeper and deeper in debt. Unemployment was rising. The numbers were astronomical. And then President Trump came into office. Unemployment is very low. Most people you talk to now have a job, and they're getting paid. Prospering off of capitalism. Of course, the Democrats are too. That's how Bernie Sanders became a multimillionaire. It's capitalism. But yet he pushes socialism. Oh, he'll figure out a way to keep his money. And all the other rich Democrats will figure a way to keep their money too, while they pretty much try to kill the one percenters, the billionaires that have worked hard over the years to push their brands and to prosper. So you have the Democrats pushing socialism, Bernie Sanders pushing socialism, but he don't want to go with what he's, there's an old saying that goes, practice what you preach. The Democrats need to start practicing what they preach. Otherwise, they're going to have a really hard time getting people to trust them, because more and more Democrats are falling away from the Democrat Party. They're walking away in large numbers. And you already have Bernie supporters saying that they're probably going to vote for Trump if Bernie Sanders don't get the nomination. Well, he's not going to get the nomination because he's already in a controversy. But that's all the time we have for today. Tune in tomorrow because we have a great show lined up, a great week lined up just for you, so that we can all stay informed on what's going on in the world and in the nation and what the Democrats are up to. I can't wait to see this Mueller testimony. I'm going to watch it, the whole thing from beginning to end. Well, I thank you all for listening. Tune in tomorrow. Y'all have a great day.